Dirty Facts About History That They'll Never Teach You in School, Part 15. When Blackbeard blockaded Charleston Harbor in 1718, he wasn't seeking gold, but instead demanded mercury. Up until the 20th century, it was widely believed that injecting mercury into the urethra was a cure for syphilis. After a long stay in the brothels of Barbados, most of the men in Blackbeard's fleet were infested with STDs. Thus, Blackbeard captured Charleston Harbor to try and make his male parts feel better. The first ever reliable pregnancy test involved injecting a woman's urine into the skin of a female African clawed frog. If the woman was pregnant, the frog would lay eggs within a few hours. William the Conqueror smashed his nuts so hard on his horse's saddle that it gave him an awful infection which he died from a few weeks later. Priests later tried to force his body into a stone coffin that was far too small, causing his corpse to effectively explode. In the 19th century, doctors would perform pelvic massages to treat hysteria in women. Essentially, women would be finger-banged until they reached hysterical paroxysm, aka climax. But these treatments were often time-consuming and gave many doctors carpal tunnel, thus the vibrator was born. Dirty Facts About History That They'll Never Teach You in School, Part 14. In 1999, police were called to Matthew McConaughey's Texas home after his neighbor reported loud music and disturbances. When they arrived, ossifers found the actor playing the bongos while blazed out of his skull and completely naked. He was arrested for possession of marijuana. Many historians believe that the crotch part of medieval armor was enlarged not to make the knight's junk look bigger, but to prevent the pain caused by syphilis when their genitals rubbed against the metal. During the Cold War, the CIA highly considered using condoms as a weapon against Russia. They wanted to drop extra-large condoms that were labeled small on Soviet territory to lower their morale, but the plan was eventually scrapped. King Philip V of Spain and his court were known to play a game that translated to the imperturbable. A bunch of naked men would sit around a table covered by a cloth, while a lady underneath the table would put her mouth around one of their willies. The rest of the players would have to guess who was receiving it, and if their guess was correct, the player who was getting socked would have to leave the game. The game was won by the player who could climax without any of the other players noticing. Apparently, this game was very popular among French nobility in the 18th century. Dirty Facts About History That They'll Never Teach You in School, Part 13. Freddie Mercury was known for his outrageously wild parties throughout the 70s and 80s. In 1978, he threw a party in New Orleans that featured nude waiters and waitresses, naked models wrestling in a mud pit, and dwarves walking around with trays of cocaine strapped to their heads. The butt plug was invented and patented by Dr. Frank Young in 1892. He marketed them as a cure for various conditions including acne, headaches, and insanity. King Charles II of England had a wig made out of the pubic hair of his mistresses. King George IV later attempted to make one of his own but died before he completed it. F. Scott Fitzgerald, author of The Great Gatsby, was once told by his wife Zelda that he had a small package. Feeling inadequate, he confessed this to his friend Ernest Hemingway. So Hemingway told Fitzgerald to meet him in the bathroom, where he took a look at his member and told him it was perfectly fine.